And hello, good morning. Today is Friday, the 19th of December 2025, and this is papertrail.com, a daily streaming all about governance, risk, and compliance in the UK for SME and mid-market firms. And this week, we taking compliance apart piece by piece. The scale of the UK compliance, or how big it is, the duplication that produces, that is because of the size of the guidances, and the 12 to 16 overlapping challenges directors, boards, and managers face, and lastly, the evidence bottlenecks due to the lack of ownership. And what we're going to do today is just to put it all back together again. And these are the three main common problems. Number one is the UK SMEs and mid-market firms typically manage compliance as a periodic event driven by audits, customers, or regulators. Problem number two is that without consolidation, each new framework or audit cycle reintroduces duplication, ownership gaps, and evidence start to scramble because you need to find out where the evidence is. And problem number three is that the result is a full reset. So it's the same work, the same pressure, again, the same costs, and this happened year after year after year after year. So it's a cycle of restarting the whole process again. So you can imagine this as like repainting the same room every winter, only for the paint to never stick. So the effort is honest, but the outcome never lasts, which is a big problem. So a few things to consider for having a system that does not reset every year. So the frameworks change, the scopes expand, and new requirements appear, but most firms rebuild from scratch, right? So when compliance is organized by framework, the progress cannot be accumulated. It's not an additional from what you've done last year. It's actually, oh, we have to start all over again. And that happens is that regulators expect continuity, right? So businesses experience repetition because their structure does not persist, but the regulators expect actually to see a continuation line. So you see there's a complexity here that is particularly for SMEs and mid-market companies, where there are not dedicated teams, officials, or personnel within the company to run these compliance requirements. And I'm not mentioning all the frameworks that are between 25 to 40 in the UK, depending on your scope. But if you consider that you have 16 basic ones or universal ones, and if you're in scope, all of them apply to you, even if you're not aware of them, like health and safety, fire safety, DVCA for fleet management, GDPR, cyber essentials. So all these frameworks, even if you're not aware of them, probably you're already complying with them, but you have to reset the whole thing every time that an audit or new notification come through, because you don't have a system that actually accumulates all this knowledge and evidence throughout the years. So there's no wonder that 73% of the UK companies outsource or hire consultants or advisors or delegate to contractors their compliance works, right? So when you feel actually you need to do compliance work and you need to hire or outsource this work, as I always mention in these live streams, you should have, or your company should have, a compliance baseline, or at least something in mind, so you can hire on your own terms. So you're not at the back of the conga, like flying around. So these are a few suggestions when outsourcing, particularly when you want to continue, or systems that have a continuation that does not restart every year from scratch with new consultant, new advisors, or different departments having different consultants and advisors according to their scope. So the first thing that you need to find out is which is the outcome that they're producing. Do they turn compliance into a continuous system, not a seasonal project, right? The second thing is how they differentiate themselves. Can they consolidate obligations persistently, even if frameworks changes? So new requirements add marginal work, and here's a keyword, marginal work, instead of triggering resets. So always start all over again. So the system had to be strong enough so the little pieces are new or have to be adapted, are produced rather than starting all over again. And I think that we covered this with in April. There's a new set of questioning. We have the new update for Cyber Essentials in April. So you only update what you need to update instead of restarting the whole new process. And the third thing that when you're outsourcing is how they help you to reduce the risk, how they structure compliance systems that can satisfy 10 to 10%, 10 to 30% of your obligations, reducing effort before work even begins. So if you think this is not possible, then you can probably like to rewatch the duplication and overlap videos I did this week, and it's in my LinkedIn profile, by the way. So one action you can take today is ask yourself one question. If an audit happened today or tomorrow, will your compliance position reflect last year's work or start all over again? If you cannot answer this question in less than 5 minutes, and you need to go back and check with your team, you may need to consider a serious solution for this problem, because then probably you are resetting every time that audit is coming, an inspection is coming, or a note is sent over to your company in terms of asking for reports, or when you're tendering and you need to produce evidence for a new contract or to renew a contract if you are doing government contract or private contract or imports exports. So I would say you need a faster, more reliable, and easier way to do this. And that's why we build our software from the ground up, considering all these things. It's called Paper Trail. So if you want compliance work that compounds instead of resetting every time, join our Paper Trail waitlist. So you can stop activities that increase workload but add no value to your organization, your team, or your managers. So the only thing that gaining that is increasing your costs, your labor hours and expenses in just redundant work. Because Paper Trail is designed for the UK SMEs and mid-market firms, because you use the same control libraries for multiple frameworks like health and safety, GDPR, DVCA, Cyber Essentials, EPR, PECR. So there's no double entry. That's reducing your overlap by 60% and your costs by 80%. It's all in one place, it's a continuous gap analysis, and it's a clear view of what's done, what is missing, and who is the responsible, the accountable, or can fix things before assurance, inspections, reports, or audits hits you. So then you can do it once, you can do it properly, and move on to the things that are more interesting to your teams and yourself, which is grow the company and be more profitable. So join the waitlist, papertrail.com, and stay tuned. All week, we've shown why compliance feels heavy and how to take that weight off. And next week, I'll go deeper into your company profile and how it helps to reduce that overlap by 60% and your costs by 80%. It's Friday, so have a great weekend and see you on Monday. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.